since the Republicans got their ass kicked, they're trying to figure out what happened. So they're looking around saying, geez, Lord mercy, what went wrong here? So we go to Republican operatives. First, one talked to Huffington Post and they said, I think there was a big bomb that just went off in the party and people need to see where the bodies lie and let the dust settle. So at least that part is very accurate and honest. He's saying, we blew up, man. And understand why he's saying that and why a lot of these other Republicans are saying it, because they thought, we can't lose to Obama. We have terrible unemployment. The economy is not recovered. And he's black. Okay, how do we lose to that guy? We hate him so much. The country's got to be with us. They got to hate him just as much. We can't lose to that guy. But they did. And so once they lost to that guy, they're like, oh, Jesus, yeah, there's some chance we suck. So now here comes the blame game. Erickson from Red State first says, well, let's blame Romney. He says Romney stood for nothing and everything at the same time. Sure, not conservatism, but Romney. And then he blames Romney's advisors. He calls them outside charlatans, many of whom will now go work for Republican super PACs, making six-figure salaries. And then we go to Ben Domenech. He's a conservative author, and he says, it is Romney and the establishment's fault. A message without music, this was the campaign, delivered by a candidate with little or no personality, saddled with enormous advantages in life, which become disadvantages in the world of politics. I love that one, because he's saying the problem was that Romney was too rich. A Republican is saying that. Okay, great. I mean, they are really, really hurt. So then we go to Richard Viguerie, who is actually one of the huge part of the conservative movement in the past. You know, how much power he has now is a different question, but he blames, in fact, quote, literally, the failed Republican leadership. And who else does he blame? Quote, the Republican Party establishment. All right, looking for more excuses, Henry Barbour, Republican out of Mississippi. Of course, his brother is Haley Barbour, who was governor there. He says, I don't think anyone on our side understood or comprehended how good their turnout was going to be. The Democrats do voter registration like a factory, like a business, and Republicans tend to leave it to the blue hairs. Again, think about that. Here are the Republicans who brag about being so methodical and efficient and businesslike, et cetera, and now saying, I don't know, man, we got a bunch of old people registering people, and those Democrats, they're a machine. They run things so well. Perhaps that's an endorsement of how they would do in government as well. And then Eric Erickson has finally figured out perhaps it might be the Latino thing. And he says, quote, frankly, the fastest growing demographic in America isn't going to vote for a party that sounds like the party that hates brown people. True enough. But finally, we get to one of the real culprits. Some have figured out, yes, Romney was a bad candidate. Yes, his advisors were weak. Yes, the Democrats did something right, the ground game, Latinos, etc. But you know what? There are these folks who told us we were going to win and took a lot of money doing it. And it turns out they screwed us. Well, the leader of that movement was Karl Rove. His groups combined took in $400 million. To be fair, $390 million. The results? Almost not a damn thing. In fact, you even got the king clown mocking him right now. Donald Trump sent out a tweet among his many drunk tweets of the election night. Congrats to Karl Rove on blowing $400 million this cycle. Every race Crossroads GPS ran ads in, the Republicans lost. What a waste of money. Now, he's an authority on wasting money, having gone through many bankruptcies. So when he's making fun of how poorly you manage your money, you know you're in trouble. And then a Republican operative backs that up with even stronger language. Quote, the billionaire donors I hear are livid. There is some holy hell to pay. Karl Rove has a lot of explaining to do. I don't know how you tell your donors that we spent $390 million and got nothing. I love it. Okay, now, understand that there might be a reason for this. Now, Karl Rove, the more money he raised and the more money he spent, the more money he makes. A lot of these political consultants, they take commissions, they take a percentage. So you win the election, well, okay, great. You don't win the election, who cares? He gets paid either way. Now, remember that this is the Republican Party that brags about Ayn Rand. You know, each to his own, so bad. You lost your pension, so what? Mitt Romney made more money. Well, I guess you weren't as good as him. Bootstraps, right? Well, if Karl Rove took all your money and you lost the election, too bad. He Ayn Randed you. That's awesome irony. So let's give you what a loser Karl Rove was. And the people who gave him money are even bigger losers. They did an analysis at the Sunlight Foundation. Out of the $103 million that American Crossroads specifically spent on ads, their return on investment was 1.29%. They calculate that based on how many victories that they had in the different races that they spent money on. 1.29%. Loser. Loser. All right, get a look. And then Crossroads GPS, another Rove group. Not much better. Over 70 million spent. Return on investment, a ridiculously low 14.4%. Now, I want to give you some context here, because not every group did this poorly. Planned Parenthood Votes, for example, is, of course, a liberal group, pro-choice group, and that's the kind of group that all the conservatives have been saying for my entire life, they're way outside the mainstream. Nobody's going to vote for those people. The kooky liberals. Of course not. Well, they spent a lot of money, too. They spent over $5 million. Nothing like the hundreds of millions the Republicans spent. $5 million. Return on investment, 98.58%. In other words, nailed it. The people they supported kept winning. You know what the real answer is? It's because they're on the right side. It's not that the people at Planned Parenthood are geniuses and Karl Rove's an idiot. It's that more Americans are pro-choice. In fact, 77% of Americans believe that abortion should be illegal. Conservatives, your real problem is you're on the wrong side. American people don't agree with you. You can give Karl Rove $390 million, you can give him $3.9 billion, and it ain't going to change that. The only thing it's going to do is make Karl Rove richer. In fact, Chris Redfern, Ohio Democratic Party chairman, says, Karl's getting his cut. He probably made, I'm guessing, $30 to $50 million this cycle by shaking down the oligarchs. Which is terrific, by the way. I mean, there's nothing that makes me happier than rich conservative guys who wanted to buy this election getting robbed. But the people who robbed you weren't the poor or the middle class. It was your own. It was Rove.